Hello there, and welcome back to the world of Pokemon Primeval. My name is Professor Redwood, but everyone calls me the Pokemon Professor. Well, that's enough about me. Can you tell me about yourself? Are you a boy? Or a girl? Or non-binary? Or gender fluid?
Can I be Shepherd, but Pokemon?
Of course!
Hell yeah.
Great! Could you also tell me your name? What a wonderful name! These are your best friends. What were their names again?
I'm David, Master of Dungeons and Pokemon.
Hi, I'm Vlad, and I'll be playing Charlotte Fuduciel, the Dragon of Galar.
Hey folks, my name's Adam. I'll be playing the role of Dart, the party's rogue.
Hey there, you can call me Josh if you want to, and I'll be playing Liz Flora, Witch of the Coven of Blue and Green, and Druid of the Circle of Wood and Sea.
Hey everybody, my name's Duffy, and I will be playing Cole. I am a ranger with a bit of a dark past.
Due to the incident last week where someone tried to teach a team of Tyrogue to use Force Palm and instead taught them to use the Force, the internet has been spotty all week, so I will understand if you need a recap of our last session. I will try to be brief, however. We have a great deal to go through as we are now reaching the culmination of this first module. While Shah and Aiko squared up with one another for their duel, the rest of our players circled and got into position. Before they could begin, however, Cole fired off an arrow at one of the soldiers, missed, and kicked off a series of events that ended with Shah unconscious and carried into the local army garrison. Fortunately, she was able to both break and then talk her way out of confinement in time to meet the others at Mistress Mako's bar. Just in time, in fact, to keep her promise to escort Samara to Liz's aunt's so she could deliver her baby. I won't be providing any additional materials for you to review this week, as I am sure you will be quite busy just getting through the volume of your regular reading. The selected eyewitness accounts provided in your textbooks are 30 pages by themselves, and if you think I won't be using them in your next pop quiz, well, then I'm afraid you are sadly mistaken. A large volume of work is never an excuse for shoddy performance. In any event, let us go back to the past with Charlotte asking,
Cole, Liz, how did you fare on your way back to town? And, where is our friend?
We sent him away we sent him away because, the road is not going to be terribly safe. So we sent him ahead to, get my aunts prepared. We might actually be able to catch up with him. You made remarkably good time. And, yeah, it's not getting any better out there.
Yes, I'm already soaked through. We might as well get on the road before I make any more of a mess than I already have in Mistress Mako's bar.
Sometimes when you get wet, you just end up staying wet. And yeah, just back outside into the rain.
So, as they head outside with the rain and probably the lightning and everything else pouring out, Char is going to try and talk to Liz and Cole without letting Samara overhear them. She's a soldier of the garrison after all, so she doesn't want to give anything away. Apparently, Aiko suspects your mayor of knowing something about the sabotaged grain. She might even suspect that he had something to do with it.
Well, it's nice for us to all be on the same side for a change.
I wouldn't go betting a great deal on it. In my experience, people who profess to hold honor as a standard or as an ideal, and then fail to meet the requirements of the honor, are not very trustworthy people. She did have me attacked from behind while we were supposed to be having a one-on-one duel after all.
Yep. Yes, that is absolutely how that happened.
Cole just gets a look on his face. Yeah, Cole just gets a look on his face. He's like, yep, yeah.
Samara comes out of her state of shock briefly and says, "You crossed swords with Aiko?"
Yes, on the road back to town. She had the poor judgment to come out of a rice field with bared steel and demand my capitulation. So I challenged her to a duel, partly to teach her a lesson, but mostly because I don't like bullies and I despise officers who abuse their powers. However, she seems to have an at best passing relationship with the very concept of honor. She had one of her soldiers, I believe it's, Brad, attack me from behind before we even got to properly lock blades. Then, when I got up, she had 2 of them attack me from behind before she piled in as a third. A remarkably honorless display, all things considered, if you go in for the concept of honor and all that.
While that was happening, Cole, what's on the sides of the road? Could Cole dip in to cover and shoot up like 30 feet ahead just to keep watch and make sure nothing's coming?
Yeah, you could do that, but now that you're outside, I want to shift focus over to Dart. So, Dart, you were traveling a bit ahead of the rest of the group, so you actually make it to Flora House before anybody else.
Right, I guess I'm kind of panting. Having jogged through the rain, I guess I'll go ahead and knock on their door.
Well, perhaps not yet. You make your way up the hillside. In the light of day, you knew that the side of the hill was covered with beautiful flowers in seemingly endless variety. Carefully manicured blooms, wild growing sunflowers, whatever would grow here and provide color was allowed a home. As the hill grows higher and you go past Flora House, you know that is where the forest begins. The first step on the blue-green way to Viridian City. It's dark now, it's wet, but you're still able to find your way to the house by the glow of the windows. There's still a fire burning inside. The house shines out in the dark, but it doesn't shine alone. There's another light, a pink light. It's coming from further back, further up the hill, away from the house. Something pink is shining up there, close to the edge of the forest. What do you do?
As I approach the house, sort of jogging, as I catch sight of the pink light, I stop and sort of jog in place for a few seconds. I take note of the light, but I have better things to do at the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and approach the Flora House.
You knock on the door, or you move to knock, but before your hand even makes contact with the door, it flies open, and a tall, spindly-looking woman opens the door, with open arms, reaches out and gestures and says, "Samare, you're just in..." Oh? Oh, you're new?
Miss Flora?
Yeah, Bellflora, welcome!
Good evening. You may call me Dart. I'm an acquaintance of Liz, and Cole's. They asked...
Oh, you're a new friend!
Sure. They asked me to come ahead of them. They are about to take, Sadako in transit and to deliver, for the purpose of delivering her child.
A delivery! That's my girl, I'm so proud. It's funny, usually I can see her new friends. Something's funny about you. I'll be keeping my eye on you, young man.
No, I assure you, I'm very inconspicuous and totally normal.
Behind the cottage, where Dart did not go, another conversation was taking place. Rita Flora stood at the edge of the forest, in the rain, conversing with something not human. The pink creature that the rest of us know as Mew was sharing some very important thoughts with someone accustomed to listening to those thoughts. Someone who knew how to hear what things that weren't human were saying. The rest of us don't get to know what they talked about, because, well, frankly, no one was there to listen. But it must have been important. because during their conversation, as Liz reached out to put a caring palm on the nose of Mew, the earth buckled beneath them. The foundations of Flora House rattled, knocking Dart and Belle off balance. The tremor was felt all the way back in town itself, as our other three friends and poor Samara were making their way down the road. Someone give me an athletics check.
I gotcha.
Is that like everybody or?
You just need one, or
One person in the group of three.
15.
Was that Shar?
That's Char.
Alright, you catch Samara, who's knocked off balance by the tremor. You manage to keep her on her feet.
I've got you, darling.
And she clutches her abdomen in pain and says, "Oh no, not now."
Does her water break right now, like all over Char? Because
I don't know. I don't know enough yet about how that happens. If we were recording this in August, maybe I would.
It's also raining, so how would you know?
How would you know?
fair enough.
No, I think I did make a roll earlier. Liz rolled a very poor deception check, and she is just visibly annoyed with the entire speech that Shar just gave, and has actually fallen a step or two back, which is why she wasn't there to catch Samara when she was falling. But then this earthquake happens, and that's that expression changes from annoyance to just concern, and she just she looks back kind of up and then over at the clouds and then up at the house, and is we don't live on a there shouldn't be any earthquakes here. Actually, no, they would live pretty close to a fault line, right? Because Cinnabar is a volcano.
Yeah, Cinnabar's right there.
Yeah. So she just her with the earthquake. I think Liz, her expression becomes just really concerned and is well, that was a pre-shock. Come on, we need to hurry.
Cole, having no idea how to handle what just happened, would have popped out of the brush with his sword out, ready to do something. The whole world just shook, and he has no idea what's going on.
I think with the thought, Liz, as your mind touches on Cinnabar and the way the earth sometimes shakes when it's angry, I think that's enough to cause your eyes to look over in that direction. The familiar mountain still sits in the bay, but it's not alone. There seems to be a second mountain rising up behind it. No, not a mountain. A wave. The water of Seafoam Bay is swelling as though heaved from beneath by a cresting whale, but the water does not burst. The swell hangs there on the water's surface, almost equaling Cinnabar in size, as seaweed and dead, poisoned fish cascade off it in sheets. Slowly, yet inexorably, the mountain of water begins to move towards Pallet. You cannot help but stare. A cold reptilian face stares as well, but not at you.
Liz says, Liz stares at this for a moment, because that's, 1, unexpected, 2, very bad. And she just says, "Burning beak. Come on, we gotta go." And turns and is just double timing it.
So, at this time, do the rest of us turn and see, is the giant lizard face in the water, or is it above the water, sitting on top of the crest of the wave?
It's in the water. It seems to be made of the water. And you can only... it's very dark. You can only distinguish it in flashes of lightning, but when the storm gives you sight, you can definitely make out an intellect and malevolence within this tower of water.
Char's just gonna look at it for a second with her mouth hanging open and just, Arceus. Then she's gonna turn around and put her arm around Samara, and at First, she's just gonna do it to see if Samara needs help, but if Samara is going to be walking slowly, she's just going to pick her up and run with her the rest of the way, because this is not a time to sit still or rest on politeness. We gotta go.
Yeah, she is going to need help.
In that case, Shar is just gonna pick her up and Princess Bride carry her the rest of the way up the mountain.
Give me a strength check. Or, raw strength, not athletics.
18.
Alright, you do well for a while, but you are going to need assistance from another person to make it all the way up to Flora House.
I can assist.
Perfect. So, Shar is going to hand her over to Cole so that he can take her for a little while Shar rests before taking her back.
Alright, Dart, I need you to make an acrobatics check.
Alrighty. Ooh, that's not great. That's 11.
The land around Johto and Kanto has always been a little active. So this is not your first rodeo, so to speak. It is the first time you've been in a house that decided to flip 90 degrees sideways before, and you do not manage to keep your balance. You fall... Suddenly the wall where the front door is downward, and that is where you crash into. You slam bodily into the wall, which is now the floor, while Belle drifts slowly and gracefully into a standing position next to you and says, "Oh bother, this is new."
Ow!
Are you quite alright, dear?
I think I broke my cheekbone. I'm not sure which cheek in particular, whether it be an upper or lower, but I think I broke one.
Oh, I have a cream for that.
I think I may need it later.
Those of you who are approaching the hill, Liz and Cole are probably wondering why your house is higher than it used to be.
And also in the wrong angle.
Yes, the earth behind it, the crumbling earth of the painted hill, is lifting up as generations of flowers, shrubs, and entire trees suddenly elevate as the earth beneath it springs to life. It's always been alive, but not like this. And despite the amount of earth being moved, you strangely, even though the whole earth is rising up to meet a seemingly equally monstrous aquatic foe, the process is still oddly delicate. Not a single branch, not a blossom, not a single petal seems harmed by the process, and indeed the house is still intact. It's just up and sideways. And somewhere in the middle of the tree line, a pink light shines.
Well, I think I see our little friend again.
Yeah, so Liz, I think, Liz sees this happening, and she's going to take this is very frustrating, for obvious reasons, but she closes her eyes and takes a very deep breath, and goes still, just sort of absorbing kind of the vibe of the place. I think at this point, enough spooky shit has happened, and Liz is a little bit at the end of her rope of, oh shit, what is the safe thing to do here? What is the thing that is going to bring us towards safety? And so she's just going to kind of, just basically extend out this innate sense that she's always had, has occasionally, it's the same sort of thing that makes her kind of preternaturally good at discerning the weather, and just sort of reaches out with her feelings towards is this okay? Is the house still safe? Can we climb that, or do we just need to split and let this happen and hide somewhere else?
There are certain things you will know without rolling, but I am going to need a nature check to see how much you know.
That's a 9, so I don't think she will consciously know too much.
What you do know, what is innate in your bones and has been for years, is that the hill is your friend. The hill has always taken care of your family, and it will continue to do the same now, even if it has to move to do so.
Okay. Yeah, Liz, Liz's eyes, just flash open, and she grabs Char and Cole by the arm, and says, "Come on, the house is the only place that's safe," and just forges ahead against this, buck wild earth golem that is coming out of the hill.
The climb is not as difficult as you would expect. The undulations of the earth beneath your feet, if anything, seem to be rising in precise waves to assist your climb towards the house. With all the seismic activity going on around you, it looks it would look from an outside observer as though it should be dangerous, but for you who are actually in the thick of things, it feels almost second nature.
So it's like this almost doesn't even look cool, does it? We are just we watched Beyond last night, and at one point one of the characters casts a spell that makes an invisible bridge that basically just lets him walk on air. And I'm picturing something like that, where it's just the earth is roiling and moving, and I think it's as we're walking, the flowers and the plants and the root structures just kind of coalesce into solid spots under our feet as we're just casually walking up this hill. It's not even just bouncing from hard place to hard place. It's just a normal ass walk as the rest of the hill rises up and I guess takes a form.
It's an earth escalator.
Yes, an
Escalator.
escalator.
Oh,
yes, Dart.
absolutely it is.
Oh.
That's exactly what's happening. No, it wants you to get to the house. That's the best place it can keep you safe. But I imagine this is a lot more disconcerting for people who are not Liz Flora. Samara in particular, I think, is losing her goddamn mind.
Same.
Yeah, I think Liz has given zero guidance on this other than this is safe, come on.
Char is basically going to be looking around at all the land around them is undulating, but somehow the land underneath them has turned into an earth escalator, and she's just kind of well, that's new and interesting.
I honestly don't know if Cole would have even noticed the earth shifting behind him until Liz touched his arm, because he would have been so focused on the giant water lizard. And it's literally only the physical contact with Liz that's getting Cole to move.
Well, he's also the one who's carrying Samara right now, so hopefully that's acting like an anchor or something.
Well, I mean, he didn't let go of her. He's just carrying her and being pushed toward the house.
It sounds like, if I could put words in your mouth, so to speak, it sounds like the situation is crazy. If you let yourself think too hard about it, you'll lose your center, but you have your friend who has always seemed to know what she's doing, and you have a job to do, so you can focus on that, and for now, that's enough.
Yep.
Does it sound like I have it?
Yes.
Welcome to Flora House.
Yeah, the door is upside down, but you are able to get inside where Dart and your aunt are.
Just a bunch of the hedges. The hedges kind of rearranged from being in front, or the bushes that were in front of the house, kind of decorative shrubs, have rearranged themselves into a new stoop.
When you say upside down, do you mean that the entire house is upside down? Are we walking on the floor ceiling or something?
More sideways. It's still more or less vertical, or more or less horizontal, although rocking back and forth with the movements of the painted hill.
Are Are we on are we on the shoulder? Or like the arm of whatever is growing here?
Seems to be high thigh, more or less.
Okay.
If you, an outside observer could perhaps see a head crested with trees where the forest would be, and one arm seems to carry the cliff face of the river that flows through town. The left arm dips down into where the salt marsh was, where the failed rice paddy was. So it is strewing dead plants along with it. And then that your house is on that left side, underneath the marsh arm.
So Liz gets to the front door, which is like, is it like at an angle up? Is it completely upside down?
Yeah, the door is at the floor of the house.
Okay, so Liz takes the 4 steps up this like shrub stoop and like just has to reach up in order to grab the doorknob and reaches up and then just like almost jumps to throw it open and looks back at Charlotte, who is like kind of right behind her, and says, well, welcome to the Flora Cottage, and then gestures.
Welcome home, dear, says Belle.
Hey, Auntie, I brought friends.
I know.
You have a lovely home. It seems to be at just the cutest angle.
Yes, this will be a difficult delivery, but I think if we work together, we can manage it. Various canisters and cylinders have been trying to fall off shelf. Belle has her hands full with catching them. Some vines, strangely enough, seem to be growing in from the windows to help situate the more fragile devices inside the house, just to hold things in their proper place. So between some very helpful root tendrils of flowers and ivies and Belle's own diligence, nothing is actually broken yet, except perhaps Dart's face bone.
I think just to kind of, is there anything else that we need to do outside?
Not unless...
Well, Char's not actually gonna go into the house. There's plenty of people in there who can help Samara, but someone needs to be out here to watch all of this and see what's going on, and maybe there's something that she can do or something she can learn.
So you're gonna stay on the shrub stoop?
Yes, she is going to stay on the shrub stoop.
If you're not coming in, Liz says, hey, can you give me a boost? Give me a boost up. And then I presume you just like kind of do the basket, and using her, I think this is one of the places where it becomes like kind of apparent. She only grasps onto the door frame in order to lift herself up with her left hand, and then ends up throwing her entire right arm, which is completely covered in her sleeve, just throws her entire right arm over the door frame as she lifts herself up. And then I think it's gonna take all 3 of us when you 2 down there hand Samara up to us.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm pretty sure Char and Cole basically lift Samara up to you, Simba style.
It is worth noting that Belle is there to help Samara inside and has welcoming, reassuring words for her, as she has welcoming words for you all, but there is no physical assistance offered for Liz. It is perhaps almost pointed in that Liz is expected to get inside the house on her own. So, just wanted to point that out there.
Yep, struggles but makes it, with Charlotte boosting her.
So, you're inside. Well, quite a storm we're having.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Where's Auntie Rita?
You know, I think she's taking care of a few matters outside. We'll have to do this part on our own, I think.
Yeah. Cole, start boiling water. Dart, there's linen in the cabinet that's and like Liz points, and it's a cabinet that is it is currently on the back wall, which is currently now the roof.
The ceiling.
Yeah. And the cabinet has kind of a latch that is holding it shut. And Liz is just like, oh, Burning Beak. This is
It's fine. I'll just stack some furniture or something.
How high up is it?
The house is spacious enough. I'd say it's about 40 feet up in the air.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, there's one of the walls is like shelves and cabinets and appliances.
Right. It's not the athletics DC to climb it is not going to be terrible, but it still has to be rolled dart. If you want to give me that check.
Not acrobatics?
I mean, you could always fire an arrow at the latch and try to get it open that way or something.
You could probably do that. Sorry, Cole, were you saying something?
Oh, no, I mean, we can get Dart. I mean, Cole's going to be looking around the room for a basin, or whatever to put the water in, and then even how to get water at this point.
Right. Stick the bowl outside. I think it'll... So, Dart, you give me a roll?
Alright, I'll go ahead and stack a table, some chairs on top of each other, and I'll try to make a leap. And that is... Oh, that's a 9.
With all of your numbers added properly?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Outside. Shar, you stayed out?
Yeah, she's going around the house, kind of checking the perimeter, but not really expecting to find, enemies in the woods or something. More like she's trying to get a better vantage point on what's happening out there. Because this thing that we're on, is it a bipedal golem? Is it quadrupedal? Does it look like a giant frog? These are the kinds of questions that Shar has right now. These are the kinds of questions that I have right now. So she's going around the house to try and get a better look at it to see if she can learn anything.
The form is shifting somewhat. Could be a little hard to pin down what shape this thing wants to hold, but it does seem to have a head. Its back and where perhaps a hair would be is covered with trees from the forest, and somewhere up there where the head would be shines a pink light.
Yep. Char rushes in. That's where she's going. But before she does that, she's going to stick her head in the door, window, whatever's handy, and let everyone know, I see something near the head. I'm going to go and check it out.
Be careful.
What?
Giratina's... We're on a moving hillside. How careful do you expect me to be?
I broke my earbone. I can't hear you.
Well, give me an athletics check. Let's see how your climb goes.
17 plus 6, 23.
Yeah, you're not getting as much assistance from the hillside anymore. It's not helping you get to the house like it was earlier. Now it seems to have focused on its own agenda. So, it does make you work for it. Fortunately, there's plenty to hold on to. There's plenty of roots. Especially once you get up to the tree line, there are trees to leap between. You're able to do some brachiating, or brachiating, whatever it's called when monkeys swing from tree to tree.
When she gets close to the ground, Shar is actually going to lean forward and talk to it. I don't know if you can hear me, and I have no great love for gods. But if you don't stop fucking with me, I swear to Giratina swinging nutsack, I will find a way to kill you. Now let me get up to that Arceus damned light.
The hillside buckles at this point with a terrible impact. This is probably what caused Dart to miss his jump because the water creature has slammed into the creature of earth. Shar, now that you're up at the top, you are making out sort of a quadrupedal shape of the hillside. Yes, Frog is more or less the shape you would bring to it, and as you get close to the head, as the pink light grows stronger, you get a better look at the water creature, and its form is, although giant and monstrous, is still recognizably Kilonian. It does bear enough of a resemblance to a turtle that you could define it as such. But as the pink light grows strong, another light rises to meet it. The creature of earth and the creature of water are trading blows. The hill, if anything, seems to be driving the water creature back, away from the town, away from Pallet. But as the turtle is pushed back into the water, another light rises behind it. Fire erupts from Mount Cinnabar. As lava gushes forth from the wound in the earth, it is possible to discern the shape of a terrible, molten claw rending at the mountain and dragging behind it a loathsome shape. With a sickening belch, the distended bulk of a bloated lizard bubbles forth from the hole, engorged with glowing, boiling flame. As a second eruption detonates, sending lava spitting out in great twin arcs to the east and west, the lava plumes do not darken, harden, or dissipate as they fall in obedience to gravity's pull, but as they collapse, flames trailing in their wake, they settle on the mountainside in oddly symmetrical rivulets, 5 to the east and 5 to the west, almost as though Mount Cinnabar were in the burning embrace of searing skeletal fingers. When, against all reason and accords of nature, the flaming hands begin to rise again, it dawns on you. Not hands. Wings. The creature's wings fan outward, as though the sun itself were cresting over Cinnabar's peak, and with a mighty flap which hurls gusting winds and meteoric embers in all direction, the creature takes to the sky. It issues a roar like a blast furnace. Then the whole world is drowned in flame. Shar, make a dexterity saving throw.
Well, first she's gonna stare at it and say, Arceus and Giratina, you're gorgeous. Dex save, right.
If you have your shield out, it is worth noting you can apply that as a bonus to dex saves.
Okay, so 21 total.
Alright, you do manage to protect yourself somewhat from the flame, but the trees around you have still caught fire in the blast, and you are going to take some damage from this.
Great. She's dead again, isn't she?
You take 6 damage from the fire.
Okay.
It was not aimed at you. It was aimed at the hill.
Only mostly dead.
Which, as we know, is still partly alive.
But you have made it. You have reached the head of the earth creature. You've reached the pink light. You can see Mew standing there, and a woman is next to it.
Shar is going to go up to Mew, probably within the envelope of the pink light, and she's going to say, Hello again, little friend. You wouldn't happen to know these fine fellows, would you? Well, that makes everything perfectly clear. Thank you for explaining it so succinctly. And she's going to turn to the woman behind Mew and say, ma'am?
The woman who bears enough resemblance to Liz that you could recognize them as family seems to be deeply in concentration. She's standing there with arms outstretched, but she seems to be focusing on something that is not quite you. Although, as you speak to her, that concentration wavers a little bit, and the people in the house can feel a perceptible buckling as the forces that hold the house to the side of the moving hill begin to weaken. People in the house make either strength or dexterity saves.
Okay. Oh, that's better. That's a 22 for Dart.
It's a 16 for Liz.
Same for Cole.
All right, everyone manages to hold on.
Hold on good enough to not get hit by things that are falling or tumble out the door.
Correct. Yes. Enough to not take damage. Yes, you managed to maintain your positions inside the house well enough to remain safe. Samara is in a great deal of distress, but whereas Belle seems almost infuriatingly calm.
I think when that shift happens, like if Cole is there trying to also helping Liz kind of like basically keeping her in place, I think both of their first reactions is to kind of cover Samara's body with their own.
Yeah. Yep.
Or I guess if you're up and about trying to boil water, you wouldn't be quite right there. But like, you know, what the camera sees is like as the house shifts, Liz kind of like throws her body over Samara and like over in the over on the side, like Cole has a small fire going in. It's like on a plate that is like a metal plate that was decoratively attached to the wall, and he's like boiling a pot of water over it. And you see him just like, as the house shifts, like takes those 3 steps towards, rebalances, takes the 3 steps towards Samara. So he's like, oh, that's fine. The pot starts shifting, and it's just about to spill, and Cole's like, oh, shit, and comes back and gets it set back upright as everything continues to move, but not too bad.
I think that sounds pretty damn good.
Oh, thank you, dear. Fuck! Yells Samara.
Who is in labor.
Yep, and not in the circumstances she would like to be. Belle continues to speak reassuringly, says, not to worry, you're in good hands now. My niece, have I ever told you about her? She works so hard, and she studies so much. You are lucky to have her as a friend.
A book falls off from... So I've always pictured that, like, there's a loft in the house, and the top of the loft is where... Like, up on the loft is where Rita and Belle sleep, and, like, a book kind of falls off, like, bounces off the rail, comes soaring down, is just about to hit Belle in the head when, like, a vine kind of whips around and grabs it and throws it back up top.
A rose bush, I think. A thorny tendril of rose.
Just like, whoop, nope, sorry. She shouts over, like, an earthquake.
Back up on the head, the woman...
Just so that you know sort of visually what Shar has done is she's taken her sword and she's stabbed it into the ground, and she's using it kind of like a handle. Meanwhile, she's got her shield out and raised above all their heads, trying to cover Mew and the woman as much as possible. It's kind of the best that she can do right now. It isn't much. She's inside the envelope of Mew's light, but, you know, might as well get as much protection as possible. She's not going to disturb the woman, but this is about the best that she can do right this second.
The woman... through gritted teeth, manages to say something, manages to speak. They're coming for Mew. They won't stop until they get their hands on it.
Char looks at Mew and says, well, you're certainly popular as a friend. Mew. How would you like to come with me for a little while? I can get you out of here. I can keep you safe.
Yeah, maybe that's best, says the woman. Water I can handle. Fire's tougher.
Yes, I have a particular affinity for fire myself, so I quite understand. Can you walk, or do you need me to carry you down the hill?
I have to stay here.
All right, I'm going to trust that you know what you're doing and let you be about it.
I thought I could protect it here. I thought I could protect all of us. But, yeah, I think putting some distance between it and the city might be the better move now.
All right. Come here, Mew. And she's going to, if he'll let her, she's going to wrap her arm around Mew in kind of like a one-armed hug so that he's underneath her shield arm. And, so he's covered as much as possible. And then she is going to book it down the hill as fast as she can towards the house.
The floating creature allows itself to be taken by you, but it looks back towards Rita Flora with great distress in its large eyes. It doesn't seem to want to leave her.
I know, little guy. I don't like walking away from a fight either. But sometimes the only thing that you can do for a person in a fight is to let them fight it. Right now, the best thing that we can do is trust her and put some distance between us.
From the tree line, from the forest along the back of the creature, two great tendrils, two enormous masses of wooden vines have extended forward and are burrowing into the water creature. The turtle is having its water sucked out through these massive roots, healing the damage that's been caused by the attack from the fire dragon. You can see the burnt bits of wood and grass almost growing back before your eyes as the water creature's vitality is drained by the painted hill. But then something goes wrong. Wood begins to darken. Liz, from inside the house, while you're in the midst of doing medicine, you can feel the distress of the hill. You can feel the pain it's in as it's drawing water from the water creature. Something's hurting it. Something very wrong and sickly has entered the hill through the water.
I guess would like a medicine check give me insight onto what sort of particular kind of wrong this is?
It could, yes.
Good, because that's a +5. 12 altogether.
Not enough to... Granted, this patient is much larger than any you have worked with before, and its biology is indescribably different, but it is... So achieving a perfect diagnosis would be impossible in any circumstance, but you, as the rose vines inside the house begin to wither and crumble, you are able to... You take a pinch off one of the rose petals that have extended inside the house and crumble them between your fingers and smell the residual powder, and you definitely detect traces of heavy metal. Something's poisoning it.
Something is poisoning it. That is, this is where, yeah, okay, so I just have like this kind of innate, I have this like innate sense, of the hill creature.
That's correct.
So from as kind of a racial feature, and as part of Liz's lineage, one of the things that she has is just kind of an innate resistance to poison. I think this is probably coming more so from her father than her mother's side of things. Her father's like a real, like the Flora ladies are pretty like hefty to begin with, whereas Ryan Flora, similar, formerly Ryan Broxson, like he's a tank, like big dude, like 6'5", just like very extremely hardy, and I think that's part of where Liz's particular hardiness comes from. Since I have this innate connection to the hill monster, is there any way that I could, tapping into that same sort of innate feeling that Liz was using earlier when she decided that the house was going to be safe, is there a way that I can extend that resistance to poison just kind of outward, specifically to this creature? I don't think I could ever do it to another humanoid, but because this thing is kind of a construct and it is being, not that I know this, but it is connected to the family in ways that I don't fully understand. Is there a way that I can just kind of like reach out, shift focus, and sort of extend my resistance to poison to this big hill turtle?
Yeah. Let's. This will be wisdom. I'll allow you to add your proficiency bonus. Commune with nature.
Like, up to this point, we haven't seen Liz use any actual magic. It's all been stuff that she's created. So this might be the first time that she is actually tapping into that divine source that druids draw their power from. So this is first real, honest-to-God, actual projective magic that is being done by Liz. Oh boy, here goes. Whew. Thank Christ, that is a 17 on the roll. A wisdom modifier of 3, so that's a 20, and then proficiency of 2, so 22 altogether.
You extend your awareness into the Painted Hill. You've always been close with your home, but now you are your home? It's weird. But you can feel what's wrong with you. You can feel that the water, the life-giving water that was supposed to replenish your systems and restore you has gone tainted in some way. There's some contaminant in it that's not allowing it to support life the way it needs to. You're gonna have to get it out. You're gonna have to give back what you took. The dragon swoops in from above to deliver another blast of devastating fire. It's completed its circle, it's completed its arc around, and is now coming straight back at the hillside again. With a roll above 20, I think you are able to turn on the dragon and disgorge the water into an attack that will hold it at bay enough for Shar to not have to make another reflex saving throw.
So this frog lizard that we're on, like, we see this like molten dragon kind of come out of the sky, and it just like this thing that we are currently on the leg of, made of earth and plants, kind of turns its head and the mouth opens and it's just like a bunch of water shoots out.
Yeah.
Okay. Dope. Okay.
It blasts the dragon, not enough to bring it down, but enough to drive it away. Its flaming breath goes wide, and Shar is safer than she would have been if you had not done that thing.
Thank you.
I mean, that's positive. Yeah, I think just extending this vitality, this hardiness. What Liz does, she reaches back out to that rose bush that had caught the book and that she had grabbed sort of the wilted petal from, and she just like she reaches into the bush itself and almost like without thinking, without flinching, just gets a very firm grasp on some of the thorns. And as she squeezes, you can see the blood sort of welling up and covering her dark skin, and just like that's when like the house stabilizes. We feel a sort of like not a shudder so much as a rush as the liquid is disgorged, and then like Liz sort of like comes back to herself, refocuses, grabs one of the strips of cloth that Dart has been cutting and that has been like getting boiled and sterilized, grabs one of these things and wraps it around her hand and gets back to work.
I'm not sure if you can, because that's not the only awareness that you've encountered inside the creature. It's not just you and the hill in there. Your Aunt Rita's in there too, and she has something to say to you. Oh, baby, I am glad to see you here. This was a lot to do on my own.
I'm here to help.
There's more of these. I know I should have told you about them sooner. I guess I always thought I'd wait till you were older, but, well, damn it if you aren't old enough.
I'm gonna have to be. You can explain it to me later. Just tell me what to do.
They're gonna come after Mew. That's the first one. That's the source of all this. Keep it safe. Find a way to bring nature back under control, or at least stop it from being quite so pissed off at us for all our terrible sins. But I don't think you can stay here. Cole, you're not trained in medicine.
No.
This should not have been you, but you're the one here now.
Okay.
You're the one who's here. You're the one who's hand needs to be squeezed by someone in pain while Bella performs the delivery.
Meanwhile, Liz is elbow deep in a rose bush that's kind of grown out of nowhere and bleeding all over the place.
Cole, with a very, very worried look on his face, will do whatever he's asked at this point.
You're having to hold things, you're having to clean things, eventually you have to cut a thing. It's all kind of a fugue, it's all kind of a trance, but at the end of it, there's a baby. And it's very scared and very uncomfortable, but it's alive, and it's a girl, and she has her mom, and you did what you needed to do. And now maybe you can take a moment and actually take stock of your situation, maybe of how crazy it is, or, I don't know how you react. But I'm curious to know how you feel.
Well, once the baby is delivered and it's been handed over to the mother, Cole is finally going to look around and try and figure out where the rest of his new, I'll call it, team is. Like, where is Liz? Is she just sitting in the room communing with nature? Did she go outside? What is happening right now?
She's by the window. Yes, elbow deep in a rose bush. Her eyes seem to be somewhere else.
Okay, but they're not, like... Her eyes are still her eyes. They're not, like, all white or anything like that, or she's not.
I guess it's up to Liz. I don't know what happens to her eyes when she's doing this.
They're still her eyes. They look aware, but they don't look aware of you. Like, she's exuding a sort of weird presence. It's a presence that is evident, but is not, immediate. And then where's Dart at?
Dart is currently standing in the room, just looking around nervously and feeling kind of useless.
Cole will look at Dart and keep an eye on her, and he'll make his way outside, her being Liz.
Before we depart, Dart is going to walk back into the house real quick, set 2 gold on a nearby surface and look to Sadako. Congratulations, Sadako. This is for your child.
Oh, you're not leaving me here.
I mean, we have business to attend to.
Yeah, so do I. Keep your money. Just get me out of this town.
I turn back. I look outside the door, and I'm amazed she hasn't corrected me yet.
I don't even know how to handle you with that, so... I don't think Samara does either. I don't know who Sadako is, but my name's Samara. I've got a kid, and I'm in danger if I stay here.
Oh, that's fair. I sort of lean in a bit and squint my eyes. I could have sworn you were Sadako.
Okay.
I think right around then is when Shar gets to the house and she says, "I've got Mew. I'm leaving. If you want to come now." She's given herself a mission, and as far as she's concerned, that's what's happening now.
I think that is when you two are outside by yourself. At that moment, it is just Shar and Cole outside with no one else. I think this is when the dragon makes its final attack. This is when Shar reaches the door of the cabin and makes eye contact with Cole just as the flames wash over them.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess we're bathed in fire.
It should have killed you. You ought to have died that moment. But something about you just doesn't burn that easy. Some people later might say it was Mew. Some people might say it was just part of you that was there all along. But when it was over, when the fire passed, and you picked yourselves up off the ground, skin smoking, hair turning crisp, and looked up at each other, the rain sizzling off your skin as it landed on you, you knew something had changed.
In that moment, with smoke coming off her body and the embers of the fire only now starting to cool and probably not even cooling that quickly, Chara's just gonna take a deep breath. Just straight up into the sky, this primal, savage roar. Just, yes. Just like a pure exclamation of joy and wonder and a half-animal scream of release. Like this was always meant to be this way. And finally it is.
Mew had already flown from your grasp. It had left as soon as the flame hit to bring a pink shield up around the cottage to protect it from the flame. It has to do so again in order to protect it now from yours.
Well, no, she's not aiming at the house. When she did this, she was like aiming upward. So there's this giant column of flame that just jets out of her mouth and into the sky.
Cole is just standing next to her, staring at his hands.
His smoldering, crackling, sizzling hands.
Something in his past just clicked in his head.
I think as Char, as Char like stands out in like on just a collection of roots that are like kind of rapidly, they're losing dirt and they're losing substance as the substance of the hill is being rearranged in order to maintain the larger creature. Just like standing out in the yard, belching flame into the sky in this like kind of raucous and primal expression of joy. Like just you get that like kind of close on her face with the delight in her eyes as fire is coming out, and then just sort of like from sort of almost the camera side of the frame, like a vine just sort of whips into view and smacks Char like directly on the cheek, like just kind of shaking Charlotte from belching flame. And Liz comes out, just pack on back, Dart trailing behind, holding and just in the midst of the rain, sort of backlit by the house. Liz says, shout about it later. It's time to go.
So looking Liz directly in the eyes, Char lets out this long, slow breath with smoke trailing out of her nostrils and forming around her to create this giant silhouette of a dragon's wings spread out to either side. And you can see the grin on her face through the slit in the helmet.
Well, hopefully that was worth the wait and the reading you all now have to do. I'm aware that we have a break coming up and won't be seeing each other for a few weeks longer than usual, but class will carry on, so don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a bit of this incredible story we're building together. Also, don't forget to leave a review as it helps more people find our little class. If you'd like to get in touch with us, we can be found on our Twitter and Instagram at Pokemon Primeval. And you can always email us at PokemonPrimeval@gmail.com. Thanks, of course, to our wonderful adjuncts, Kevin MacLeod for providing music for our session, and Kit Mulcairn for providing the voice of Mew. We hope to see you in 2 weeks in our next session, where our story continues.